Welcome to It All Started With. I'm Philly Barlaza. I'm here with
I'm John Rushworth,
I'm
and
Steve Schaefer.
Steve Schaefer. Yes.
thank you, Steve, for joining us today at It All Started With podcast. And
Absolutely. Thank you for having me.
appreciate your time. And yeah, we're really curious about, what all started your journey as a professional and where are you today?
I love that. Well, I work for Chipp. I'm one of the co-founders here. Honestly, it really started with a love for the payments industry. I was in the payments industry at another company for a really long time. Loved everything that they were doing. I still actually have great ties with them, partnerships and everything. Life went a different direction. I took a pause and then realized, hey, I kind of wanted to get back into that. Like most people who go into payments don't leave it. It is a very fun industry. It's exciting. You can do a lot of good for it. But I found that like the very small to mid-sized businesses were getting overlooked. And I was like, man, every deal needs to be bigger and stronger in this. But these little guys are just kind of struggling to stay afloat. And if there are ways that we could like work on that tech stack or figure out ways to get more money back into that business, like that's how I can go in and like help. And the biggest focus was staying local with our community.
And we're talking about like electronic payments, right?
Yeah, absolutely. So the way I describe it is imagine if you're a business owner, you're taking payments somehow, right? And whether that's literally swiping on a handheld device when you walk into your retail store, or maybe sending an invoice, or even like e-com, we pretty much do everything. Our bread and butter is like the brick and mortar style. So we just have a lot more control there. So whether you're, a nail salon or a restaurant or, just selling nice goods as a retail store, like you normally go in and you swipe your card somewhere. That's where we love our wheelhouse to be, just because most people just when they signed up for their business, they knew they had to take cards. So they Googled payment processor and the first one that came out, that's what they did, And so most people don't understand that they have a lot more power in what they can do and negotiating their rates and negotiating for hardware and stuff. And so we lead with education. That's like our biggest thing.
So they might be great at like cutting hair, but like transacting is not.
Absolutely. My co-founder, if he was here, his name's Jason, great guy. But one of the stories he always tells is, if you loved baking and that's why you opened your bakery, you probably didn't open it because you love doing taxes. Like that was not the reason. So what do? You hire a CPA.
E-commerce.
Yeah. But you hire a CPA, someone who's trusted in that field who will protect your business.
Right.
We think that you need a payments guy, just like we're going to need marketing guys. Like you got to find someone that you trust who's an expert in that field. And we realized that most business owners weren't experts in payments. And that's where we found where we can kind of get in and again, educate and get them up to speed. And they can make a real good decision. And hopefully that decision leads to us on education of, hey, a local payment processor is probably a lot better to work with than someone who we can never talk to on the phone or never see in person.
Yeah, that's true.
Or instead of the AI bot.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, really, realistically, if you're going to deal with a big payment processor in the next 6 to 12 months, finding a person's going to be like, really hard.
And we've discussed this before, what you just alluded to, the hub and spoke model, right? It's you start the business for this reason and you're passionate, but then you realize you need the marketing, you need the CPA finance help, you need this or that. And so it's really an economy of microservices that all are focused on doing one thing really well and just, stamping that out amongst as many businesses. So I can say that's what we do as a digital marketing company.
Yeah.
You do that as a payment processor. And you do that servicing the video needs of our community here in Marin County in the Bay Area. So tell us a little bit about you and the communities you're impacting with Chipp, the payment processor that you can pick up the phone and talk to, and it's on AI.
Right. Yeah. Well, I mean, to jump right into it, again, the local small to mid-sized businesses was like our main vision. This is who we want to help, and this is who we can help the most. So my co-founder is actually based out of Spearfish, South Dakota. So we kind of just connected at our last role. He was actually born in Sacramento. So we were both kind of California natives, even though he went a different path. He was a college athlete, ended up playing football out there and met his wife and stayed out there. And he just realized that, man, a lot of these businesses out in the Midwest, they're a little behind on technology. Like most of them are like cash only bars. They weren't even taking cards and people would just refuse to take it because they didn't want to pay that fee. So he's like, well, how can we figure out ways to like eliminate that cost or even just lower it enough where it's not going to break the bank for you? Because the average ticket on a card is way more than cash.
And they're losing business.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's just like an easy example is if I want to go have a drink at the bar and I've only got $20 in my pocket, like, I'm only getting a few, well, out there, you're probably getting a handful of drinks, but here you might get one.
Yeah.
And so, that's all you got. I got enough to buy the drink and tip, but If I can't take cards, what do I run to an ATM machine and pay $4 to take cash out? It's like, it's okay for the business to take cards, but it has to be fair. Like that processing fee has to be something that's realistic. You can't just be getting charged an arm and a leg on every single transaction. And an example for this too is imagine like an auto, like, or let's say a car dealership, right? If there's a transaction fee on every transaction, it doesn't really add up when you're only selling 10 cars. But if it was a high percentage on a $50,000 car, you're paying a lot of money. Where on the flip side, if you're a coffee shop, that transaction fee is going to be massive, right? Because you're pumping out 10,000 coffees a day. If it's 10 cents per transaction, that's going to wreck your business, So where we come in is we kind of throw the cookie cutter approach out of the way. Like, I'm not going to rag on any competitors here, but if you went in, they'll just say, hey, I don't care if you're $1 billion business, $1 million business, or making $100,000 a year.
Two choices.
Yeah, exactly. Here's what you're paying. If you want to work with us, you pay this. What we do is we call it like a card mix, where we look at their processing statement and we say, hey, you're taking this much Amex, this much Visa, MasterCard, Discover. You're also doing a lot of transactions, but that ticket price is low. Let's figure out something that makes sense for your business, right? Like, we shouldn't just put you into this square peg, for whatever reason. And that's kind of how the payment industry has been. It's just, you pay what you're going to pay. And most businesses just say, hey, that's the cost of doing business. I'm going to pay it. And so, like, for instance, say your phone bill. When was the last time you looked at your phone bill? I sound like a hypocrite here because I never look at my phone bill. And if it changes from $100 to 90 to 120, I still pay it because I need my phone. Business owners do the same thing with processing statements. They probably don't even look at them. They just pay the bill because they need to keep their business running. And at the end of the year, they just write it off as a cost of doing business. Yeah. But that number of 50,000 that they paid could have been 10. Yeah. Could have been 5. It could have been 0.
Huge difference to cash flow dependent business, small businesses. So someone signs up with one of the bigger processors, and a lot of your current customers have gone from the Google search where they're a square peg in a round hole. And now you're saying, hey, I have a local tailored solution. We'll pick up the phone, but also it's going to be tailored to actually the card mix, and we're going to give you a lower rate because of that. Yeah. That hands-on consultative approach, that's probably pretty rare in your industry.
Absolutely. And, me and you've had conversations on this too, but like, that's what I preach, right? Like, the cookie cutter approach is long gone in the payment industry. If they're just going to put you on a rate, it's probably not the best place to be, right? Because they're giving that same rate to anyone else. But if we go in, like, the first thing we do is when I walk in and I talk to a business owner, I'm not saying, hey, I want to sell you something. It'll never work. You got to be able to talk to these guys and understand what their business is about and how they're taking transactions and what they're using. And like, getting that knowledge, then we are now educated enough to make a right decision for them, or at least help guide them in the way of, hey, do you need all these bells and whistles for this shop? Probably not, but you're paying for it right now. Let's drop it down. Or, hey, you need to get some marketing or loyalty programs into this business. Like, let's up that software and let's up the tech stack a little bit. So now it's making sense for your business. And so again, we talk about like, hey, sell me this pen. I would never want to just sell you a pen. I don't even know if you need a pen, and like, business.
How are you going to use the pen?
Yeah, exactly. Like, you need to know this kind of stuff. And for these business owners, like I said, is if we don't actually talk to them and get engaged in figuring out how their business runs, we can never give them a proper solution. A lot of these bigger companies don't have the time to do that, where we do.
Right. And the example you use is like the perfect example, which comparing coffee to cars, and the number of transactions.
Yeah.
It's crazy how that stuff adds up too.
And so if there's a small business owner listening to this podcast, watching us, and they're like, oh my gosh, I signed up 5 years ago for a payment processor. Maybe I should talk with Steven and Chip. What's the process? How does it start?
Call my cell phone number. I make this joke all the time, but it's not a joke. My number is 415-246-2988. It is the same number my mother calls me on. Give me a ring. Like, I will pick up the phone. But honestly, that is the first step. Sit down and have a 15-minute conversation with us.
What if I'm doing a farmer's market and my system crashes? What do I do?
Call me right now. Hopefully
415.
I will say, hopefully, if it crashes right there, you have some sort of app that could also take payments on it.
Right.
Like, anything that we would give to any merchant, they also have like an app in case something goes down, or Wi-Fi tower or power outage, whatever it is. You can always kind of go back to your phone and at least key stuff in, or do things like offline or dark mode or whatever you want to say. Yeah, and it'll sync later and you're good. So you don't lose any business.
So you prepare for everything?
We try to. We sure try to. But yeah, so there's some good stuff in there too. But again, with people, like, what do they do if they need help? Honestly, going back to education, like, call someone who knows. I would love to be that person, right? Give me a call. I could walk you through your statement. I could tell you exactly what's going on. I could even see if things are on there that shouldn't be, right? Like sometimes there's like little charges at the bottom that just say, hey, we sent you your statement this month that cost you $10, and you just pay it because you've never looked at the statement. So like, let's see if all this makes sense, because there's a chance you could be getting a good deal. And if it is, I'll shake your hand and say, hey, you're in good hands already. Like, I'm not going to make you change the wheel. Like, change is hard sometimes. And if your
Right.
business is running smooth and everything works, no need to change. But what if we can keep you on the exact same thing you're using, but we could plug into the back of it, and now you're processing with us using the same hardware, same devices, but we were able to lower your rates down. Now that 15 minutes might have just saved you, 30 grand a year. Not
Right.
trying to sound like an insurance commercial here, but that 15 minutes or less.
Right.
I
But
love
no, I mean, it's just math. I mean, you'll be able to show somebody what the value is or not. Right.
Yeah,
And I
absolutely.
bet these bigger processors don't take the time to understand the motive behind the person running the business. Why did they start it? What are the ins and outs of this business, the consultative approach? And so, I mean, I relate. We do that too with
Oh,
a
yeah.
quick 30-minute intake interview and then a follow-up with a survey that asks more pointed questions that come from that. So we can tailor marketing packages. You're tailoring point of sale payment solutions for the small business owner, which is great. So what's behind you as Steven, as the individual? What is your goal with this business and
Oh my God,
making an impact?
How did it all start?
Yeah.
How did it all
how did it
start?
start?
Well, I mean, we're going to get a little cheesy here, but how the payments part of me started, like even the name of this company was called Chipp, because we actually had like a chip on our shoulder for the industry.
Oh, I love
And
it.
so we were like,
Nice.
all right, what didn't we like about it? Like what can we change? And again, it was all on that kind of like that people connection, right? Like
Well,
that was the
you
big.
were working for the big guys, right?
I was working for the big guys, and I will say the big guys that I was working for, I actually love those guys. They're really good, but there's just thousands of processors, like countless. I couldn't even begin to tell you how many are out there. Some of them do it right. I'd say more of them do it wrong. And so, how lucky are you going to get if your Google search is just a payment processor near me? It's kind of a luck of the draw if you're going to get someone good, and who's that rep? Are they going to take care of you? What's the support like? There's so many factors. And so when we decided to say, hey, we're going to do things a little different, one, again, the local community part was like huge for us. We don't want to be that rep who just signs up your business, then the only time you call us if there's a problem, right? I like to be able to like sign a merchant and be like, hey, it was really glad that we were able to help you. We partnered. This is awesome. By the way, I'm going to see you at BNI on Thursday. Like that's just such a good feel good part of what we do. And, if you ask all my friends and people who I know and grew up with, like I'm empathetic to a fault. Like I do genuinely just want people to be happy. And the payments industry for a long time probably didn't have that kind of vibe around it.
Wait a minute, empathy and payments.
Yeah. And so it was fun to just like kind of go out and be like, let's see what we can do. Like, let's see if we can make this work. And obviously the beginning was tough, just like any business, we just like, we needed to generate revenue and we were focusing on getting deals and trying to go out, but we didn't have that like trust, right? Like no one knew who we were. How can we trust you as opposed to the guy who walked in this door 3 days ago? Who are you? And so going back to like about me, the biggest thing that I used was like, I was born and raised here, like my family's from here. My grandmother went to school here, like my roots run very deep in the Bay Area. And so just having those conversations and getting to know these business owners and just be like, man, I'm really here to help. And not to be a downer on this, but one of the big things I saw was, after COVID, so many of my favorite restaurants and bars and stuff, they all
Yeah.
went under, and it was awful. And part of me was thinking like, man, what if we were working with them 3 years before? We were able to put an extra $100,000 into that business. Would they have sunk or would they weather the storm?
Right. And it's funny you mention that because of a lot of restaurants at that time, particularly in the service industry, they couldn't do curbside, or that wasn't a thing.
Yeah. It was tough. I mean, one thing, and tying this into payments too, but if you ever went to San Francisco, like towards when COVID was just kind of like things were just settling down a little bit, they started opening up all the parklets, right? So
Yes.
now all of
Yeah.
a sudden you couldn't go inside, but now we can at least get a little revenue for the business because we have 10 seats out there. That was a great spot for us to jump in the payment space and say, hey, well, let's start adding QR codes all over the place, right? Because if now you could just add a couple seats here and you could have everyone ordering through QR codes, you're still within standards of the city, everything's still good, but now you're starting to generate revenue again that was lost for the whole time where everyone was locked in. So
That's so funny. Yeah.
yeah, so the space definitely changes on what's going on. And, having that person who's there to be able to look at this stuff and find new solutions for your business, you got to be able to kind of be like a little speedboat. If something happens, you
help me with my park.
yeah, yeah, you got to be able to make those quick shifts. And so
That's true. So you got this business started in a time that was bad for a lot of people, but for you, it helped kind of kick things off with COVID and you being able to do processing.
How long have you been in business?
A unique way.
Yeah, so a little over a year and a half.
Yeah.
Yeah, is kind of what we've been aiming for. Again, been in the payments industry for a long time. My last company, they did a lot of this stuff that I'm talking about, which, really inspired me too. I was like, look at you guys go. Like,
just add the community,
right?
And you've got something great.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. But like they started moving and getting innovative. And it was fun because obviously they're a business too, working with business owners. And it was something that they've just never expected to happen before. So they never really planned for it, right? Like they didn't know this was going to happen. They didn't know they had to have money saved. They didn't know that their sales were going to drop down like 80%. They
didn't know that the world was going to close.
Yeah. How do you prep for that? And honestly, I don't think there is a true answer of how you do that.
Right.
But being prepared for the worst, whatever that worst may be, gives you an edge up and figuring out how to move with tides and figure out exactly like what could happen and how would I overcome that. Not saying that payments is the answer for that, right? There's a ton of things that business can do. It could be marketing. It could be anything. But just figuring out what works and what doesn't work, and then planning for, well, if we had to make this cut or if we had to do this, how would we be able to look at it? And I think that was one of the big things for us of just trying to figure out, like, what do they really need, right? Like, what does it come down to if we just strip all the BS away? Like, how could we help in the payment space? Is that literally just lowering your rates and getting money back into your business? Doesn't really sound pretty, but hey, money's money,
Or COVID hits, and then it's like, you pick up the phone and go, hey, this thing has happened. It might be affecting your business. I was thinking about you. And, here's something, maybe that'll put you at ease, or maybe something you need to be thinking about, which honestly, the big guys aren't going to do. I mean, this is the new, I have this kind of theory of, AI is going to take over a lot of stuff. And what's going to be missing is the human component, right?
Yeah.
The empathy.
Yeah.
And the knowledge of deploying the right tools, figuring out what is needed.
Exactly.
And being a human.
And having a person who understands your business, that can support you, that you have a trust with.
Yeah.
Because trust is going to be hard to come.
And when you can over deliver as a service provider or find a solution to something that's been abstract to the owner, that's a lifetime relationship you just locked in.
Oh, yeah.
You're providing real value. It's exciting stuff, honestly.
Oh, yeah. Like I said, I mean, it's fun to just get people to be open about having the conversation, right? And I say that change is hard, right? Because if I said, hey, I'm going to save you X amount of money and I'm going to come in, I'm going to rip out your whole system and we're going to put a new one in and your whole staff needs to learn how to do something new, like, it's pretty daunting. Like, is that even worth the change? Like, if I save you $100 a month, it sure isn't worth it. Even 1,000 might not be.
Right.
Like, where does it become worth it? But being able to have the conversation, and again, this local presence that we have, like, people are just more open to talking to us, just even out of just pure just being nice, right? Like, hey, you're in the community, like, I'll give you a shot. And then we just kind of talk to them, and all of a sudden they realize, oh my God, these guys actually give a shit. And we could just have that convo with them. And then all of a sudden it's like, well, we've seen this with some of our other merchants, like this is kind of how they're working. We've noticed that this does X, Y, and Z. And now all of a sudden they're starting to just think of, wow, thinking outside the box isn't this like scary thing that you have to be worried about. Like, there are some good ideas out there. Maybe not all of them, but if we could start kind of opening the door for how we could improve that tech stack, how we could bring in other things that could help generate revenue. One of the big things we're doing right now is for nonprofits. When businesses in Marin sign up with us, we give 10% of our profits into nonprofit, or our profits into nonprofits in Marin.
Wow.
And so it's just fun to just be like, hey, like, we're trying to generate more revenue streams, because at the end of the day, like, the small businesses in Marin, for example, is what makes Marin Marin. We need the community to stay strong, and we need those businesses to do well. So if we can find ways to help them through our platform, which is payments, and that's either giving money back to them, saving them some, maybe make their business run a little bit more smoother with tech. Like, there's just so many ways that we can kind of help them do that. So if something drastic like, COVID hits again, they might be in a little better space so they could weather that storm.
Yeah. I mean, and not turn into Chandler, Arizona. Have you been to Chandler, Arizona?
I have, not recently.
I was there last year, and it's literally once you get downtown, you can find a little character, but it's predominantly like chain restaurants, chain things, which are payment processing. It's not something that, that's done at the corporate level.
Yeah.
And one of the beautiful things about Marin is that it is family businesses. It's local businesses like Scotty's Market
Yep.
that have been around forever.
I grew up right across the street from Sky's Market.
I mean, and so helping them thrive in a space like that and still provide the same values that the big guys do it's huge.
Yeah. And a big thing about just like what could the big guys offer versus us? One of the big switches that we made this last year was instead of just trying to be the local payments guy, we also wanted to be able to bring like those big solutions, right, with all the bells and whistles to the smaller businesses. So we made a lot of partnerships. Like my last company, we partnered with them. We could sell their product, so like we might be able to go do like the grunt work, if you will, going and talking to these local businesses, but they still have access to those like great systems and we still get to control the rates. So, it's not like they're just shit out of luck because they
Right.
don't have it. It's like we broker like more like a partner than anything, but we have 15 different people that we partnered with. So like any device you see anywhere, we could probably get it to them. It's just us doing the negotiation. And the way I like to describe it is like these business owners, they're the fighter, right? But every fighter needs like a corner man, right? And
Right.
like we're like that corner man. We're the ones like you're out there taking the blows and everything, but like when you get that quick break and you could sit down, let's help fix you up a little bit.
Also, you can worry about, how good your jab is at a restaurant instead of having to worry about your transactions.
Yeah.
Or you were using the example of a bakery, worrying about your product and your customers and not necessarily the business end of it, which, it's funny, but you heard that a lot about, from doctors who became doctors to like help people. And then it turns into a business that they don't want to really do a whole lot of.
Yeah, they're the pharmaceutical sales rep.
Yeah.
They're
They're all the
message
stuff.
their patients that they can't see on a portal.
Yeah.
Yeah, my girlfriend's actually in that grind right now. She's an anesthesiologist up in Sutter, and so she's doing like the hard working the night shifts, doing that. She's like in the thick of it.
Wow.
But if you look around the hospital, like who's the one doing the most help right there, right? The one who's in there doing the work.
And what's crazy is, like in a hospital too, is you'll have 7 companies, doing one set of stitches, in the ER
Wow.
because everybody's their own business.
Yep. Absolutely. Yeah, so there's some good stuff there. I was going to say, I hate to jump back to the Scotty's thing, though,
No,
but
please
Yeah,
don't.
no,
but
Scotty's is great.
I love Scotty's. I'm not sure even if we're giving them too much credit on
No,
here,
no,
but
no,
man,
they're great.
Scotty's Market.
yeah, right. But I
They're
literally
London.
right across Freitas. I grew up on that street. All my friends who I've known my entire life. Actually 3 of them are in the payments industry too, and so I don't know how that ended up working, but one of my buddies kind of recruited all of us in. We all fell in love with it and all either stayed or went our separate ways, but everyone's still in the industry. But again, like that is what we're talking about with local community. Just you saying Scotty's Market like made me feel good. I was like, yes, I love Scotty's. You're like, I love Scotty's
Yeah.
too. Like that's kind of what we want to try to be, right? Like, is it going to be next year? Is it going to be 5 years? Maybe.
And nothing against Nugget. But, like Scotty's is Scotty.
Yeah, exactly. It brings that community feel. Like I literally felt a certain way when you said it, right? I was like, oh, memory lane, like the nostalgia of it. Like they've been so good to me.
Yeah.
Like that's our goal for Chipp. We want to be that trusted payment processor who's local, who people are going to be like, they're great. They
The
do right
Scotty's
for us.
Market of
Yeah,
payment processing.
Or Andy's Market.
Right? Hey,
Market.
Andy's is a good one too.
Loch Lomond and a few other
Right?
locations.
Andy's is a good one too.
Oh my
yeah.
God, Loch Lomond, nice.
Damn, that's a good one.
But yeah, I mean, so you're here in your community. Whitefish, Montana is where your co-founder is.
So
Or
Spearfish, South Dakota.
Spearfish.
Yeah.
Whitefish, Spearfish.
Yeah, Spearfish, South Dakota.
And so you guys have presence in these 2 areas that you're servicing, giving that high touch level of service when they come to you initially, but also through the relationship. If they need, if a terminal goes down, you're there for them.
Absolutely.
And yeah, so by having this, you grew up here.
Yeah.
Your co-founder grew up in
Yeah, he was in SAC.
Well, he did sports,
in the
but
other.
yeah.
Yeah.
So it's these towns, you have a storied history. You can leverage that obviously as you have to get customers. How are you looking right now? How are you gaining traction, getting your customers, and then looking forward? what's your plan?
Yeah. So, I mean, the way that we've got them, we have been a referral shop, a word of mouth through and through. Like that is just how we've always been. And I can get into this part in a little bit, but like we've tried some marketing moves. They didn't really work. We're doing some other ones that might have a little bit more upside. But at the very end of the day, everything that we've done so far and everything that's kind of helping us grow is just treating people right and doing right by people. And that just kind of spreads. And so my favorite call that I get is, hey, this is so and so. Carrie referred me. Like they said, you took such good care of her. Like, I want to work with you too. Like, that's where we kind of made that transition of like, okay, we might be doing something right here because people are calling us and reaching out whenever we go to events. People want to talk to us because they hear the stories of our current book of business, if you will, of
Yeah.
who's like really kind of happy with what we're doing. That at first it just kind of felt like, okay, like, yeah, this guy's in chamber with me. I'd rather work with him than some random. So I'll do it. But then all of a sudden they see the results, right? Like
Right.
now all of a sudden it's like, whoa, all of a sudden I could hire a new staff member and I don't have to be on site all the time because there's more money coming back into the business. It's staying local. Like, and all of a sudden they're starting to see the results. Is it instant? No, but we're starting to get to that traction point where like most of the people who come to us heard from us through a good story from somewhere else.
From another client
Yep,
that you're working
exactly.
with. And that's how we grew Sparkplug Marketing, but also Mike from Youth Experience Sponsorship
Yes.
said, you focus on your current clients that are right in front of you, giving them the best service. And that's word of mouth. And that's going to pay dividends. Now, how can you take that and have more of a lever on it? Because like you're part of BNI, the chamber, these referrals come when they come. It's not necessarily a funnel that you have complete control over. So while that's the right way to treat each client now and in the future is focus on them, how can you tell that story and magnify it in a way that's authentic? It doesn't devalue the service you're giving the client.
Yeah. So that's actually part of like what our 2026, 2027 kind of game plan looks like for growth, right? We're trying to now, because realistically, could I sign a deal anywhere in the nation? Yeah, absolutely. Might hop on a Zoom, see your statement. I could build a file. I can give you an application. We could save you some cash. Sure. That's very just transactional, but we could do it, right? I mean, there's no stopping us from helping in that way. If you knew a friend who had a business in Florida, could we save them some cash?
Or
Sure.
if I'm a Marin business that wants to expand outward too.
Yeah,
You
you know-
can scale is what you're saying.
Oh,
too. Yeah.
absolutely. But going on that personal local touch, like the biggest thing that we started doing was actually hiring AEs in other territories. So now, we have a rep in Miami and he could be that local presence there. It's not like someone in Miami now has to call a support line and they're not going to get anyone. They have a rep there. We got one, even though we're in Marin, but we have one in Sausalito, Petaluma. We've got one in Oakland. And we're trying to the way we're expanding isn't just go get more deals. It's put someone in there who could be the us, of how we started, of being the person who's present in the community, who has those roots, instead of just trying to say, hey, let's sign deals over there. Let's find someone who's part of that community. Let's hire them. And then let's teach them how to do this, sales game, but be local. Again, go in and have these conversations. Go talk to your favorite deli, your Scotty's Market in Oakland, or whatever it may be. And now, again, that personal touch comes back in. And again, just being that people person is the biggest thing for us, because I think I said this earlier, but like anyone can do payments. There's thousands of payment processors out there. Like, what makes you different? And again, having someone that who's like your friend or that guy in your corner, like that's what we're trying to replicate with our growth for the next couple of years.
I love that. And this was not planned.
I know.
We have something called the local area founder role. It's literally, and we say this on our website, we are like the real estate brokerage model applied to local small business marketing.
Yeah.
And it sounds like
Yeah.
you just said exactly what you're doing, which is the same thing.
Yeah.
And that's what we found is like you have that person that's been, you and me grew up in Marin.
Yeah.
We're from the Bay, having that local presence and story to tell those local retailers in
Yeah.
Texas and all over the country. That's powerful. And piggybacking off of an AE in a market, their presence can be a really powerful growth engine, but maintain the quality of client service.
Exactly.
It's admirable because you could potentially grow faster by being less personal.
Yeah.
But this is how you really grow because it's sustainable, as you know.
Yeah, it's funny. I was not that we need to go too far into this, but I was in the Marine Corps out of high school, and one of the first things they ever said is like, slow is smooth and smooth is fast. And I feel like we did that slow part, and now we've kind of realized what works,
I love that.
and now we're staying smooth, right? And again, once we kind of feel comfortable in this zone of like, We have people in the right places. We're taking care of those merchants in those territories. Now it starts to build, and that smoothness does become fast. And that's when I think the big growth will happen, that kind of hockey stick, if you will. But right now, I feel like where we're at is a good spot because everyone gets the kind of support that we promised ourselves that we would always give, right? We don't want to get to that point where we're so big that we can't offer it. And so one thing that my co-founder and I always talked about is, a lot of these bigger companies, they just want more reps signing more deals and then the support goes down, right? Because there's too many deals are coming in that they can't support it. We always said that we're going to make sure the support is always there. If we're signing a lot of business, that doesn't mean we go get more deals or sign more reps. It means we get more support, right? So that when that phone call comes in, there's someone answering the phone and someone helping that merchant. Because say if you're a bartender and all of a sudden it's a crazy Friday night and your system goes down. 3 minutes feels like an hour. Like you're not able to do anything. And if you call someone and you get like the press 1 to do this, press 5 to do this, all right, your wait time is 20 minutes, like you're going to lose it. So we like to make sure that when you call, you get someone. And that's why our phones, they forward to each other and stuff. And so when you call, you get someone, which
It's
I
like
think
Jerry Maguire.
So Steve's clearly putting himself in the position of the customers he's serving. He's saying, okay, a bartender, a system goes down for 3 minutes. You can't process transactions. That feels like a lifetime. So he is putting himself in the shoes of his customer, understanding their stress points and pain points and making sure that that's not an issue with his.
And being a member of a community that
Yeah.
wants to see that local business succeed as well. Yeah.
Succeed
Yeah.
and grow.
Absolutely. And, not that I'm saying that I care so much about what people think, but hey, when you do right by everyone, it's nice when you walk down the street and they're like, hey, there's Steve. Like,
Yes.
he's
Yeah.
a good guy. Not like, oh, that's the guy. Yeah.
Exactly. So
There he is.
Yeah.
you alluded to a little bit earlier, you alluded to some of the marketing things you've tried, maybe some failures. Yeah. What have you tried? What has worked? Yeah.
Yes. So the working part is definitely
Work in progress.
Yeah, I was gonna say actually, we'll go to the failures first. I like to
Sure,
end on,
yes.
on positive notes, but when we first started, it was just me and my co-founder pulling doors. That was our marketing, right? Just, hey, introducing myself. I'm Steve Schaefer. I'm with Chipp. That was it. And then we're like, all right, let's try all these other things because we're business owners. We wear 1,000 hats. Like, let's put our marketing one on today. And so one time we were just like, let's do mailers, right? We'll build these mailers. We sent out 1,000 of them. Did we get any calls from them? Probably 0. It was an absolute swing and a miss. And it was because we had no brand recognition. There was no call to action. Like when someone saw a mailer, it's like free hardware, Chipp. Who's Chipp, right?
Yeah,
Is this,
what can you do for me?
yeah, exactly. Like who is this? Like obviously it goes right into the trash can. And so that was like a trial and error move. But what I realized, one of the biggest things, and I'm still even learning this today, was I've never been a marketing person. I could say I can market myself just because maybe people will be like, oh, you were a bartender forever. I'm sure you could upsell a drink. Sure. But the marketing part for this business was so different. And my co-founder and I were not marketing people. We just weren't. But whenever we had a little bit of extra time in our week, we would try to put that hat on and just shoot for something. Let's do a drip campaign or some email marketing campaign or an email blast, something. We just try it. But the thing that I've learned about marketing is it just has to be consistent to work. Like it just has to. If you just try something one time, you're not going to get anything. If you try it for a month, you're probably not going to get anything. Even month 2, 3, 4, 5, it's all building, right? So people understand it and you have to stay consistent with it. Otherwise, it's not going to stick. And we kept trying these marketing things and they just would not
The
stick.
one-offs.
Yep,
Yeah.
exactly. And nothing would stick. And we're just like, man, what are we doing wrong? And I think what we realized is that we were trying to do everything. And going back to that circle of trust thing I was telling you about, like we needed to find marketing people. One of the reasons I'm here today was talking with you about marketing, and then working with Patty and some other people from BNI. Like we just realized that like we have to take a step back and put someone in that seat who knows what they're doing in the marketing game.
Who's as good at that as I am at
Payment.
my thing.
Yeah,
at
exactly.
payments or
Yeah,
whatever.
absolutely.
Right, whatever your thing is.
That trusted partner. And, that's where one of the marketing failures for us that led to a good lesson, right? It's like, yeah, we tried all these things in year one and we just realized like, are we just bad at marketing? Like maybe. And then we started kind of learning, educating ourselves a little bit, talking to the right people. And, we realized that like, this is not a short-term play, right? You're telling me that you want to be here forever. You want to take care of the community. You want Chipp to be the trusted processor in Marin, right? Like this takes time, just like marketing does. For people to know that that's what our goals are and that's what we're trying to do and even who we are, it takes consistent views and insight and just being present in front of these business owners, whether that is through emails or phone calls or advertisements or being present at local chamber events or mixers or all this stuff. And so the marketing aspect was something so much bigger than I thought it was going to be, right? I thought it was just like, project number 1, this. Project number 2, that. And like stuff would come in and it never did. And so that was one of the biggest changes for us in marketing, was realizing that we're not marketers. That's not what we do. That's not what we're good at, and that's okay.
But you understand your clients, right?
Yep.
Like the bartender example. And that could be a segment. You target bars and bartenders and bar owners and speak to the pain point, as you just described a few minutes ago to us, about that bartender that's stressed their payment processing just went down, and how you guys can come in and help them. That's how you really target a focused message that's consistent and not a one-off. But so many business owners are the same way, where they try something, they're like, oh, this doesn't work. Try ads for a month, doesn't work. Try I sent in a couple emails over the last, and I asked over the last month, or no, the last couple of years. Oh, okay. Well, no wonder you're not seeing much, because the consistency piece is important. Refining the message, looking at the data and iterating. But you're doing it in the right way, because you're first figuring out what your client needs are.
Yeah,
And that's
absolutely.
the ultimate. That's really the
That's
starting point.
that's why our favorite thing is education. You know, I'll sound like a broken record because I will say it all the time, but like on those first meetings when we talk to business owners, it's not us trying to sell you on something, or trying to say that we're just going to cut your rates in half, or hey, pay for this pretty shiny thing over here, we'll put it in tomorrow. Like, it is just, how does your business work? Like, who are you? Like, what is your goals? What are you trying to accomplish? Like, do we even fit in with that? Is Chipp even going to be a part of that equation? We would love to be, but maybe it doesn't work. So let's figure it out first. Have the conversation, see what's going on with your business. Let's take a look. We've got a analyst team who could look at all this stuff.
But you're not necessarily selling a product; you're selling a relationship.
Yeah.
Absolutely,
You know what I mean?
my man.
Whereas if it's a one size fits all product, that I'm going to make my argument on how I can make this thing fit into what you're doing, instead of figure out what you're doing and then find something that fits perfect.
Exactly. Absolutely perfectly said. I mean,
I want to put everybody in a size 10 shoe.
That'd probably be a little big for me.
I know.
I love it.
But yeah, so I mean, again, going back to just kind of how everything was working on the marketing side, not to go too far on a little tangent here, but a big lesson was learning what we can do and what we can't do, learning what we're good at and what we aren't good at. And like, even just for me and my co-founder, like our skills are so different, even though we're both in the payment space. That guy's like a sales guru. He knows the psychology of sales. He knows how to talk to everyone. I'm more like a natural networker, right? Where I just want to go meet people and be the person that they know. So when something wrong happens, you've got a guy in your corner that you can call, And then I started learning a little bit more on the sales side, where he learned a little bit more on the people side. And it was this ever evolving thing that will still continue forever. We plan on being in business together as long as possible, And so just being able to maintain that relationship and just learning that, like, we're never going to know it all. This could be could be a $10 billion company in 10 years, and we'll still be sitting there like we could do better.
Yeah.
Isn't that great though? Just
That's
as a person,
best.
like being open to growth and not knowing it all. And
That's the best. That's so exciting, right?
Yeah.
It's like, what's next? What's going to be thrown at me that I can figure out
right.
and adapt?
Yeah.
That's so cool.
And now we get to fight the robots.
Yeah.
Man, I will say on the robot side, we definitely I'll speak for myself. I love to use AI. I think it puts a lot of time back into my day, but I always have to fact check it, right? Like if I wanted to, like, hey, write this.
Oh, don't get me wrong. I'm not anti-AI.
Oh, yeah.
But the AI is a tool. And it's a tool just like anything else, can be used properly or misused or anything else. And the other thing is that it's not, I think a lot of people, especially younger people, I have kids right now, where they're trying to make these tools that replace people, which will work in a physical, like, job sense. But, like, my kid can't be a friend to a tool.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Or the tool can't be a friend of my kid. Again, it's a tool, but it's not a person.
Yeah.
It may sound like it cares, or it may be programmed to respond in a way that seems caring, but it's still a tool.
Yeah. Back when I was bartending, there was like one of the first videos I ever saw, and this wasn't necessarily AI, but just talking about the robots and everything.
Yeah.
But somewhere, I think it was in Japan, they basically had like one of the first ever like robot bartenders. And this was years ago. But I remember watching this video, and you literally just have a screen in front of you as a customer, and you just type in Manhattan, and you watch this thing go back there, and it literally just makes the perfect Manhattan, and then it comes back and sets it right there, and you have your credit card already swiped. And all I was thinking is like, well, who are you going to ask to take pictures of you and your friends?
Yeah.
Who are you going to come talk to about all your problems?
Like, who wants that?
I was like, I would never go into a bar like that because that personal connection is just so powerful too. And obviously that could be in any aspect, but I was so funny that you said that because I remember one of those things like towards the end of my bartending career, I was just like, oh man, is this actually happening? Like,
Yeah.
are people actually going to start going this direction?
That's usually what creates more opportunity. The society overcorrects in one
Yeah.
direction.
Yeah.
And then, the stuff we used to take for granted, the social connections with real humans
All right.
out in a bar, let's say.
Yeah.
And now it's all robots. Oh, there's an opportunity again. It's
I want a
cyclical.
robot lawnmower,
Yeah.
not a robot bartender.
Yeah. Optimus robot to do my dishes and full laundry.
Yeah.
Sign me up.
No, that's
next
what
year.
somebody said.
Sign me up next year or whenever.
The
it
full
drops.
laundry.
Yeah.
The
I'd be
robots
li-
were supposed to do the laundry and do my dishes, not do music and art, which are the things I wanted to do.
Yeah.
I was gonna say I'd be lying if I didn't have a Roomba, running around my house.
Same. Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I mean, they definitely come into play.
Are you guys deploying AI in your business? We certainly are. And like you alluded to, makes the brain work faster, smarter, and educate us as service providers, tools, like you said, that we could deploy. Are you guys actively using?
So I would
AI?
say we're right in the middle because when I say we as in Chip, like what are we using AI for? I would say not a ton, but individuals like our AEs, myself, like I use I use ChatGPT, and then I also have another one called Sintra that has like 7 little bots that I'll do like a marketing thing of this. And honestly, like the way that I use it is probably not the way I should be, but like I'll ask ChatGPT something and then I'll bring that over and be like, challenge this. And I kind of make them like try to like debate a little bit.
The second opinion.
To like kind
We're all
of
doing that.
see where they're at. And then I come into like the final result and then, 80% of the work is done. And now my 20 is like that going in and like seeing, okay, read it over. Like this makes sense. I would never say anything like that, and then kind of making it my own.
Sure.
And so like, it does take a lot of time, or gives me a lot of time back in my day using some of these tools. And I have them do like automatic prompts for myself. Like I'll even tell them like the Sintra one, I'll be like, hey, every morning at 8:00, like ask me 5 questions on how I can grow my business. When I answer it, give me feedback on what works and what doesn't. Right. So like, it kind of challenges me too. So like, I think if you program
Become
it
smarter.
For education, those are fantastic.
Yeah, it does some really cool stuff. Now going to the business, we've used it for like some automated replies and everything. And my co-founder and I, we almost put a stop to it like after like a few months, and we're just like, it really just isn't us. Like what we're about. Like, yeah, it's great, and like it's getting us in front of a lot more people. But like, when you send out those AI like mass texts or mass emails, most of the comments that come back are like, stop, please, no, like, no, thank you. And so we just were like, man, that definitely feels like it's more of like that corporate level. And so we were like, all right, let's pull the plug on that. We'll use the AI because like AI is one of my favorite tools. Like I'm not gonna lie, outside of my Google Calendar, that I live and die by.
Like I want to change my cable plan. Write the email for me is like perfect.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Copyright.
Yep. Yeah, exactly. I mean, that's right. I think where the perfect wheelhouse is for it. And that's actually kind of how I use it right now too. I'm like right in that realm. But, every day when I wake up and I have it ask me questions, I'm just like, what else could I have you do? There's like curiosity of like, how far could I push you? And then whenever I try, there's always like a time where like it makes me doubt it for a second. And I forget what it was exactly. I'll have to think, but I remember typing in like, I think I missed, it was like the MVP announcement or something. And I like typed it in to say like, oh, who won? Cause I just typed it in ChatGPT instead of Google because it was already up. And it like told me it was like SGA when it hasn't even been announced yet, but it did it like as a certainty. And I was like,
oh, wow.
Interesting. It like took all the knowledge that it knew to make its most educated guess, but presented it as a fact.
Yeah.
Well, one thing about AI that is for sure is there are tools that are made to give you an answer with confidence, right or wrong,
to appease the user,
and to appease the user and tell you what you want to hear. So that's
dangerous, right?
That's what we all need to look out for.
Yeah. I'm not
mirror on the wall, right?
Yeah.
Who's the fairest of them all?
I will say, now that I think about it, my AI is very nice to me.
I know. But ask my AI.
Well, it's user experience.
If I'm handsome.
By design from the company behind it, right? How are you using AI?
Well, I use the one example of like changing my cable plan, or I use it for just kind of the busy work stuff and planning and research.
Yeah. That's awesome. I've been messing around with Manus. So historically, me and the team use ChatGPT for copywriting, ideation, it makes us more efficient. We take more on as an individual contributor, right?
Yeah.
But Manus is interesting. It's a Facebook meta thing.
Okay.
And I've been creating tools,
Mhm.
ad checker tools, get me a list and let's send a nice email or campaigns. So
Yeah.
specific tools that I could actually potentially resell. We're using it in-house, but Manus has been interesting. And like you said, I love AI. And
Well, like
it's a tool.
a prime example,
Yeah.
like for what you do at Sparkplug, speaking of Manus, and I don't know what Manus is specifically, but it's very valuable to help you get your message, your real human connection message in front of the people that are receptive to it, and not necessarily end up marketing to people that have no need or
That are going to
interest,
say spam.
Yep, exactly.
In this list. Yeah.
but who have no interest in it. So, that efficiency in that sense is like, they're huge. It's huge. It's huge for like mining data. And that
Yeah,
kind
it can
of
help
stuff.
economies grow. I mean, really,
Totally.
by being more focused and
Absolutely. Yeah, I was gonna say,
I always love AI stuff.
do you?
Yeah.
Oh man, I was gonna say my whole little group of friends, everyone's always kind of testing its limits on it, and I know some people who they probably couldn't run their day anymore. They're so reliant on AI,
Yeah.
which could be a little scary, but
well.
I definitely come into that part too, where like I said, I mean, I'd much rather have it than not have it. At the end of the day,
Yeah. That's why I could talk all day for that. I have another podcast. It's AI for the normal guy.
Oh, nice.
But that there's the shame kind of right now of AI, which is going to go away fast because you're either going to get on the train or get run over. And
it's not going to replace us. It's going to make us more efficient and allow us to do things.
It's going to eliminate jobs and it's going to create new jobs.
Yeah, exactly.
That's the big thing. It's probably going to create new jobs too. Everyone thinks it's going to just be like, oh, well, now we're in trouble. It's like, well, everything's going to change. You got to figure it out.
Good time to be a musician.
Yeah.
Or a diesel mechanic.
Yeah, bring the art, bring the arts back.
Service businesses, good time. Yeah,
Right.
I love
live theater, live music. I think live human connection
outside of the screen. Yeah,
outside of the screen is really gonna bloom.
That makes sense.
Yeah,
now, Stephen, with Chip, with your personal life.
Yes.
What else should we talk about in the last couple minutes here?
Oh man, that went by quick.
How do I find out about Chip?
How do I
connect with you?
Yeah, I mean, obviously,
I got your phone number.
Yeah, I was gonna say everyone's got my phone number now, so that's the easiest way. You can call or text. Our website is just Chipp.cc. We thought we were really clever when we first signed that up because CC for credit cards and PP for payment processing. We loved it at first because we thought it was creative until all of a sudden we started sending some stuff and they're like, what is this CC?
Spam. Never seen this before.
Yeah, exactly.
Now
we've got past that. We've grown enough where now it doesn't get flagged or anything. But yeah, you can just go to our website, Chipp.cc. You can book an appointment right through there. QR codes. I mean, if you go out into most events in Marin, you'll probably see me there. So anyone listening could always just come up and say hi. I'd always love to chat. You guys could probably just tell on this podcast I love to chat already. So, but yeah, so I think that's the easiest way. If there's any business owners who are just looking to, again, get educated a little bit, understand what they're paying for, if it's fair, if it's not, my whole team's always open for a call. We got 8 people just here in Marin alone who are willing to just sit down and have a conversation with you and see exactly what, if it makes sense or not. And like I said, if it doesn't, we'll jump in and we'll help and we'll get you on the right track, whether it's with us or not. There's been a couple times where we've just worked with people and we're like, everything you need, we could do that, but the switch is going to be too much. Just stay. We'll go negotiate your rates a little bit, get them down. We'll help you out and just drop us a referral, or you can buy me a drink next time you see me out and about.
And by doing that, you're probably more top of mind than their payment processor that they'll stick with.
Yeah,
but we'll get a referral for you through their network. That's valid.
Exactly. But so that's the easiest way to reach us. Like I said, we've got QR codes floating around on all our marketing stuff too. You can always just scan and it'll set you right up for an appointment.
All your details will be in the show notes.
Yes.
Oh, there we go.
As
Love
always.
that too. All right. But and outside of that, I mean, I think I really enjoyed the conversation here with you guys. I walked into this not knowing what to expect. And, I think you guys do a great job here too. And this was a ton of fun. I can't wait for you guys to have me back, or maybe my co-founder when he comes in town.
There's a button here somewhere where you fall into the tank of sharks. Yeah.
But so this has been great.
Thanks for listening to our show. You can find It All Started With wherever you get your podcasts. If you got anything out of the show, we would appreciate a like or thumbs up. Thanks again, and we will see you next time.